Hey, what's going on everyone? How are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another Steam 2 video, and today we're going to be talking about underrated weapons. Now this season is coming to an end, so this seems like the perfect time to talk about some non-meta weapons that are still good in the Crucible. There's a ton of weapons that are actually good and can do pretty well in Crucible. Use that, they're not really super popular. A couple of you guys may actually use some of these weapons, but they're definitely not the meta. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about some weapons that need a bit more love, so hopefully some of you guys will try some of these weapons out after we go over them. So, without further ado, let's actually talk about these weapons. Alright, so we're going to be starting off this video with probably the most popular weapon of the ones that we're going to be talking about here, which is going to be the Polaris Lance, and also to an extent, the J-Rabbit. These two 150 scout rifles are really, I really do mean really underrated, because they destroy people, they really use body people, but it has to be a long range map. That's really the biggest downside, that you can't really take advantage of these weapons in all the maps. There's only a couple maps where these weapons really shine and can reach their ultimate potential. When you see that Equinox pop up, that's when you pull out this weapon and you start destroying people from across the map. Hitting 3 crits with these weapons is super easy and also just super satisfying. And since these weapons are all very accurate and very stable, especially if you have the J-Rabbit Catalyst, or maybe you're using the Polaris Lance since it already has super stability, you shouldn't really have a problem controlling the weapon. When you're in those maps at long range, there's not a lot of weapons that can actually keep up with you. There's very few weapons that can actually beat you in a 1v1 fight, except maybe if somebody else has a 150, or maybe you get caught off guard by a sniper and these kind of one-shot you immediately. So the J-Rabbit and the Polaris Lance are both fantastic scout rifles, and I think that you should always have one of them in your inventory if you're playing some Crucible. So when those maps, those long-range maps actually show up, which unfortunately they don't really show up often, at least for me. I usually just get the smaller maps in the rotation. But when you do get those big maps, pull that weapon out and just destroy people with the range and damage that you have with the J-Rabbit and the Polaris. Both are amazing weapons. The exotic perks don't really come into play too often with either of them, but the exotic perks don't really matter too much. You're just using them because of their 3-tapping potential. Okay, next up we're gonna be talking about a fusion rifle that has probably been in your vault since like a month or two after the game actually came out, and that's gonna be the Merciless exotic fusion rifle. So ever since this weapon got moved from the heavy slot to the special slot, I have been actually quite surprised that we haven't seen it too much. It's a pretty solid fusion rifle, especially for the Crucible, but what really makes it into a great fusion rifle is when you get the catalyst. And I know I might be kind of cheating with this one, you know, you kind of need the catalyst to really get the most out of this weapon, but the catalyst just really makes this weapon amazing. It adds 40 range and it adds 40 stability to the weapon, which has to be probably the catalyst that adds the most stats to a single weapon. I don't think there's anything else that really adds more stats than this one, just when it comes to raw stats. Just look at that. Look at all the stats that you get. And they're very good ones. There are 2 things that you really want on fusion rifles. Their stability and range. So that leads this weapon to actually be pretty consistent and actually pretty fun to play with in the Crucible. You also have kill clip on this weapon, just that is actually named something else that I just can't for the life of me think of right now, but it essentially is kill clip. When you get a kill, you reload and then you get more damage. And the damage is no joke, man. The damage is definitely no joke. You're gonna be sniping people once you actually get a kill and get that extra damage. It's pretty nice. So this weapon is just a very nice feeling fusion rifle. It's a 900 charge time fusion rifle, so it's a very slow charging fusion rifle. So if you don't like those, you probably won't like this one. But if you're a fan of slow charging fusion rifles like me, that can snipe people from far away, then this is definitely going to be a pretty good one. So I actually really enjoy playing with this weapon. I feel very nice, I feel actually pretty consistent, as long as you don't try to snipe people from just super far away. As long as you stick to close and medium range, you should be fine with this fusion rifle, and you should be getting a lot of one-shot kills. Something that I found weird with the fusion rifle though, is that even though in the stats it shows that it doesn't really have a lot of impact, it does hit for basically the same damage as a max impact Errant 2. So don't get fooled by the impact, it actually does a lot of damage, and it's gonna give you those sweet one-shot kills. Next up we have the Black Scorpion and the other 260 RPM scout rifles. We saw them for a little bit after they got a buff, but after a couple weeks, everyone just kind of stopped using them, which I don't really understand why, since it's not like anything really changed. They're still pretty good. I guess everyone just kind of moved on from the weapons, but they are definitely still pretty good. They kill usually in 5 shots, except if you get some high impact reserves. And I think the high impact reserves is what you're looking for and what really makes this scout rifles really worth it. If you get high impact reserves, once it procs, you're gonna be able to 4-tap people to the head, which is pretty much what we're looking for. Being able to 4-tap people to the head as a 260 RPM scout rifle is just amazing. Some of these scout rifles by themselves are actually pretty good. They have good stability, they have good range, they're very good mid-range weapons. High impact reserves is definitely what you're looking for them, so you can get those sweet 4-shot kills, kinda like a Mida, but you're shooting even faster. So these scout rifles are definitely just amazing at medium range. You don't really want to get too close with them, and you also don't want to get too far away with them, but at medium range is where they really shine. Thankfully, medium range is somewhere where we find ourselves quite a lot in the Crucible, so these things can work in a lot of different maps, and they can definitely put in some work. So I definitely recommend that you take a look at the 260 RPM scout rifles. Maybe you have one in the vault that you never really use, maybe you kept it in there, or maybe you're farming for something from the gunsmith and you just happen to get a scout rifle like this one with high impact reserves. I definitely recommend that you keep it and that you try to use it in the Crucible. I'm sure that you're actually going to end up loving the weapon and are just going to have more options to use in the Crucible. So definitely don't ignore the rapid fire frame scout rifles. Alright, next up we're going to be talking about Sidearm, and it has to be the Rat King. Man, the Rat King is just a beast. The Rat King has to be one of the most underrated weapons in the game, and probably the best kept secret of the Crucible. Especially if you have the Catalyst, where you have the better recoil direction, and just makes it so much easier to actually deal with the recoil here on console. You got good damage, being able to kill people with 4 headshots with the Rat King. It's a full auto weapon, so all you have to do is just basically hold down the trigger and focus on actually getting some headshots. You also have invisibility, and if you have the Catalyst, you have health regen on top of that invisibility. These 4 things work really well together and make the Rat King be a really solid weapon, a very fun weapon in the Crucible. Especially since you have to kind of change your playstyle a little bit. You can't just really take on groups of enemies. You usually want to take on 1 or 2 people at a time, kill them, go into your invisibility, and go for some sneaky flanks behind people. Just try to surprise people with all the invisibility time that you have because of the Rat King. So playing with the Rat King is definitely going to make you play a more stealthy, a more flank heavy playstyle, which can be very fun, especially when it's really working out and you're just flanking people all over the place and just getting a bunch of kills. It's a very satisfying playstyle that I definitely recommend that you guys give a try to. It's just a very good weapon in the Crucible, even when you're just using it yourself and you don't really have anybody else using it with you. But regardless, I'm just kinda surprised that the Rat King doesn't really get as much love as it probably should in the Crucible, since it's a very nice sidearm that can put out a lot of damage and it can shut down shotgunners pretty well. Alright, this next one's gonna be for my auto rifle lovers, because now we're gonna be talking about the Suros regime. And I'm pretty sure you auto rifle guys are pretty much already using it, but for everyone else, the Suros regime right now, it's pretty good. It's not bad. The 600 RPM autos are actually not in a bad spot. As long as you can hit some headshots, they actually go pretty quickly. And since the Suros is basically a 600 that just keeps ramping up on speed, when you look at them, you just kind of melt them, and it's glorious to see. It's really nice running the Spain of Suros and just killing people a lot faster than I probably thought that you were going to kill them with an auto rifle. The speed of Suros is usually what I like to recommend people, especially if they haven't used a lot of auto rifles. And the 600 Suros is just a lot more forgiving, especially if you're not hitting a lot of headshots. But if you're an auto rifle veteran and you are confident that you can hit just headshots after headshots, then I definitely think that you should go for the dual speed receiver Suros. This is actually the version of the Suros that I like the most, just because I like shooting slow fire auto rifles. And this thing really puts in some damage. You put down people just super quick as long as you're hitting those headshots. That's basically what it just comes down to. Can you actually hit those headshots? And if you can, you're gonna get rewarded with a pretty nice time to kill on the Suros. Something that you definitely want to take advantage of, and sometimes I kind of don't do because I just keep reloading the weapon. You really want to take advantage of the Suros Legacy perk and really take advantage of that extra damage that you have on the bottom half of the magazine. This applies to basically both versions of the Suros. Just having some extra damage is very nice, but you can definitely take more advantage of this perk if you're using the slow Suros, since you're not just throwing bullets out there just super quickly. So the Suros is definitely an amazing auto rifle that you should definitely give a try if you're an auto rifle person. Alright, so for this next weapon, we're going to be talking about a shotgun. I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, a shotgun being underrated? But yeah, today we're going to be talking about a shotgun that doesn't really see a lot of play. You know, it's actually excellent in the Crucible, because we're talking about the exotic shotgun, the Lord of Wolves. This thing, my god, puts in some damage. It shuts down supers, it shuts down enemies from really far away. It's just a very good shotgun. The biggest problem that the shotgun usually has though is when it comes to ammo. This thing is just ammo hungry, and you cannot satisfy the Lord of Wolves. You will run out of ammo with this thing super easily, and having 2 shotgun scavenger mods is pretty much required. And even then at times you're still going to be running low on ammo, but when you do have ammo, my god is this thing useful. It can shut down supers because it outputs just crazy amounts of burst damage at close range, and since it does a lot of damage, you can actually get away with you shooting somebody from pretty far away with the weapon, because just the amount of damage you output in a burst is enough to actually one burst them, even if they're really far away. Even if per shot you're not really doing a lot of damage far away, when the burst is done, they're probably going to be dead. So even though this weapon doesn't seem like it has a lot of range, do not be deceived by the weapon, because it will kill you from really, and I really do mean really far away. And the Lord of Wolves is also very good at dealing with multiple enemies at once, especially if you have the Release the Wolves perk, which is gonna waste a lot of ammo, but you can run through enemies super easy when you have it active. It's amazing, and it's very satisfying actually to kill people with the Lord of Wolves, especially kill other shotgunners, since you could reach them when they can't even touch you. So yeah, the Lord of Wolves is a very good shotgun that you should definitely try. It's a very fun shotgun. Just make sure that you have some shotgun scavengers, because if not, you're gonna have a bad time with the weapon. Okay, so next up we're gonna be talking about my favorite one-10 hand cannon, the Sturm. The Sturm is just a very nice feeling hand cannon, and this is something I've been wondering for a while, but I just can't put my finger on it. What makes the Sturm just feel like such a good 110 hand cannon? I know there's a couple of other good 10 hand cannons out there, like the Duke, but the Sturm just feels very nice. It has a nice sight, it's fun to shoot, and it's very effective. I like to run this weapon by itself, or maybe I pair it up with the Sidearm, but a lot of times I just run the weapon by itself just because I like the feeling of the weapon. It seems very accurate, the sights are amazing, and if you have the Catalyst, you have more range, so you can shoot people from really far away, and you also have more handling, which is just nice to have on these types of hand cannons. If you love hand cannons, especially the 110s, the Sturm, it's a very good one. And if you want those sweet 2-taps, you could always pair it up with the Drang, so you can get those 100 and something damage headshots. I can't even remember the exact number, but the real point is that you're gonna be 2-tapping people. And I don't think I can say anything else about the Sturm. It's a very good hand cannon. It has pretty much all the things that you're looking for in a hand cannon. It has a good sight, it's fun to shoot, it has a lot of range, and if you have the Catalyst, you can have even more range and more handling speed on it. So it just makes it feel even better. So definitely give the Sturm a try if you guys haven't tried it in a while. And that leads us to our final weapon that we're going to be talking about in this video, which is going to be actually another sidearm. Yes, it's going to be the Crucible sidearm, the Anonymous Autumn. And this is a sidearm that I've been using actually for quite a while, ever since I discovered it when Forsaken dropped. This was probably one of the first weapons that I got, and this roll that I'm using in this gameplay is actually still that sidearm that I got all those months ago, just because I love it. It has kill clip on full auto, and it just feels amazing to shoot. And mostly what you're trying to do with this sidearm is just countering the shotguns. That's why I find that these sidearms are best at just making sure that those shotgunners you stay as far as they can, and they can't actually get to you and kill you. And this thing actually does it pretty nicely. You can use destroy shotgunners when they're running at you. And if you can manage to get some kill clip on this weapon, when you have it on, it's amazing and you smell people. But even without the kill clip, this is still a pretty amazing sidearm. The only thing that it suffers from is just like any other sidearm, it doesn't really have a lot of range, so you're very limited when you can actually use it. So this is best when you pair it with some other long range weapon, maybe a slow rate of fire hand cannon, a scout, a pulse rifle. This is when the sidearm can really shine and show you what it can actually do. And I really like it. I think it's a pretty good sidearm. I feel that the recoil direction on the weapon is pretty good. The damage is also pretty good, being able to use shut down shotgunners pretty nicely. Even if you're not super accurate, if you're missing a couple of shots, like I am in the gameplay in the background, this weapon can still be very effective, and you will still be able to deal with pretty much anybody at close range pretty nicely. So definitely give the sidearm a try. I know a couple of you guys, the sidearm aficionados, probably have the sidearm towards the top of your list, just because it's a very good sidearm. But yeah, definitely give the sidearm a try, and maybe you end up loving it. And with that sidearm, I'm gonna end today's video, guys. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Maybe you'll give some of these weapons a try. I really hope you at least give one or two of these weapons a try, just to mix it up in the Crucible. Since mixing it up in the Crucible is really what's gonna keep it fresh, and it's just gonna make it a lot more fun. Remember to leave a like on the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like the video, subscribe to the channel in case you guys haven't already, and if you guys have any other underrated weapons that you think that should have been on the video, make sure to leave it in the comments below, and let me know which ones you think are good, but not a lot of people are using them. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care everyone, have a good day.